Hit me.
Looks like I'm going to be starting on the playfield a little sooner than I thought I would be. Honestly, actually, this is a little bit later than I thought I would be because I was wanting to get the cabinet done, and technically the only thing it really needed was the decals, and that's kind of a long story that I'll go into maybe at some other point, maybe when I finally get my decals, when it comes to them being correct. Like I said, it's a story just for another time. I want to see how the story ends before I go any further with that. So, the only thing I've got left on here, the cabinet-wise, is all these little metal parts that go inside the head. Everything else that's on here, I don't want to attach because I'm going to end up having to remove it to put the decals on, and I just don't want to double work like that. So, everything else that remains for the cabinet, like coin door and anything that's going to be in the way when it comes to applying the decals, I'm not going to apply that right now. So I'm going to get all this metal polished up that goes in and on the back box. And then I'm going to be at a holding point, on the cabinet at least. And then we'll move on to the playfield. Alright, we are on to the playfield for Johnny Mnemonic. And this is going to take some time, I believe. The cabinet is at a holding point until I get my decals in and until I can get the stuff powder coated. So I've got the essential stuff done for the cabinets. It's just at a holding point. So that for the time being, I'm going to be disassembling all of the items that are on this playfield, completely taking it off topside. I might take everything off on the bottom side as well. I have not decided yet, although if I do decide to do the bottom side, that is going to make the clear coating portion even easier. So, nothing else to say here besides, let's get started. Alright, I think I've got everything set up and ready to go for disassembling this playfield. There's quite a bit of tools that are your typical ones that you're going to be using for said job. What I like to have on hand when doing this is my soldering station. That is just in case the only way to get certain mechanical stuff or anything off a playfield, I need to desolder wires. Then I've got that right there, like certain switches that have been fed through a small hole. That's not as common, but it's there sometimes. So that's ready to go in case I need to desolder anything. I've got my magnet antenna in case for whatever reason I lost a screw and I can just get it out when we're there, because you want to keep all of your components contained in a bag for a certain section. Everybody's got their own method. This is a method I've used for years, and I started this method after my first playfield I disassembled and didn't do any of that. And so I learned from my own mistakes on that, is don't think that you're going to be able to remember where everything goes. So, magnet antenna, a full nut driver set. This is available through Titan Pinball. This is also available through Titan Pinball. It's a nice little tool that's really handy for getting up underneath plastics to hold while you undo the top portion. Very handy. Hold on to that. Phillips, 2 different sizes. Wire cutters, strippers, you never know. Mini screwdriver set, and a full SAE and metric Allen wrench set just in case as well. I believe that should do me for all I need, and then of course I've got all of my Ziploc bags that I will be utilizing to contain said parts in one section. So what I typically do is that I'll break it down into quadrants or 8 different sections, but I'll try to make sure everything in one particular section is in one bag. Like this would be a section, this would be a section, maybe this right here would be a section. That way you don't have things spread apart too big and ridiculousness in your Ziploc bags. It just makes it easier to reassemble and get certain things put together. You also want to take note of the pattern at which you took things off of the playfield, so that way it makes reassembly easier also. So if you know that you started with this piece right here first, then obviously you're not going to start with this piece, first when reassembling, because that wouldn't make sense. So some of this stuff is real obvious for you people out there. Others not so much. But yeah, so things like that. Just take note of what order you took things off of as well. And since it's my first time for disassembling this game, then it's going to be a little bit of a learning process for me as well on how things are going to be disassembled. And I'll go over that in close up here in just a minute on showing you how I go about doing that. So when it comes to disassembling this playfield, I'm going to look over the entire area and see which section should go first. Because like this game, certain things are overlapping and connecting to other things that are even further underneath others. So it's like, oh, I'm going to take off my slingshots first. Like, no, in order to take off my slingshots, I'd have to remove this, which is connected to this, which goes all the way up here to this, which is underneath this. So that slingshot may not be the best thing to go after first. In this case, I'm going to be starting from the top and working my way down. And where this looks like the first thing I'm going to be removing is this ramp right here. Because the only way to disassemble this is this screw, and then this screw, and this whole portion should come off, which gives me complete access to this ramp underneath here, which connects down here, which allows me full access to my slingshots. That's things that you need to take note of while you're disassembling this machine and reassembling, of course. So that's how I'm going to go about doing all of that. Let's start off by removing this. So I've removed this screw along with this diverter that connects to right here. So that gets removed. And this one right here. So now this should come off. Well, a little bit of a finagling right there. Alright. I've got my magnetic plate right here, so all my washers, make sure I'm not going to lose any of those, and those will all go into the bag. Now, okay, so we've got a flasher bulb that's going to be holding this down. I'm going to be following that flasher bulb to right here, which is connected right here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to disconnect this with one hand. All right, good. So now that that has been disconnected, this, hopefully, with one hand, there we go, is removable. There we go, and so it begins, guys. Just got to rinse and repeat stuff like that about, I don't know, maybe 100 more times. Alright guys, I've stripped down a good chunk of the playfield so far on Johnny Mnemonic. but it looks like I'm going to have to take it off of my current setup in order to continue dismantling it. If you look right here, you will see that all of this portion right here, with the glove and the matrix point right here, is all in one giant piece that connects to the bottom of this playfield. So I have got to remove all the bolts, and this whole assembly should come off. So I need to get it upright so I can access all of these bolts in the back. Let's get that started. All right. This thing's almost ready to go on a rotisserie. The only thing stopping me now is this coil right here. And even then, I think I might still be able to mount it. Alright, so I now have complete access to the playfield entirely. That's why I say complete access. But now there's no longer anything obstructing access to anything. So that is the objective, of course, of disassembling the playfield. Now I'm going to get this thing up on the rotisserie, which gives me even more access to the playfield all the way around. Now doing this by myself is definitely a challenge, so chances are I'm probably going to call the wife in here to help me with that.